Nick Wright, first things first. This week their show's been short and condensed. Still remarkable. More great opinions in a shorter period of time. I apologize for that. Baseball and I apologize.
No, but we wouldn't even be on the air if you weren't so generous with your airtime. You're letting us cut into your show, which I would never do for you. So I greatly appreciate it. I do have a question. Colin, were you at the game last night?
No. No, I wasn't.
What's happening? I'm watching the game. Every crowd shot is a different FS1 Fox employee.
I know.
You've been with the FS1 longer than anybody. They can't get you a couple upper deckers or something? They can't let you get in the building? I was waiting for the Cowherd crowd shot. I never saw it. I was very disappointed. Very, very sad about that.
By the way, I want you to have an opinion on last night. One of my takeaways was that did not look like a well-coached game. Blown coverages.
Oh, God.
My takeaway is it eliminated both teams from the Super Bowl. They're just. I was like, there's all sorts of players here. That was a display of anemic coaching. Am I nuts?
You're not. Well, I eliminated the Cowboys from Super Bowl contention might be a touch harsh, but I agree with you in large part. I thought Dak was awesome.
Yes.
I thought under duress, adverse circumstances, the coach seemingly working against him, I thought it was one of the better games I've seen him play in years. I thought the Dallas defense, even though they didn't get their first sack until the very end of the game, was constantly pressuring Justin Herbert. I thought the defense played really well. I thought Mike McCarthy was awful. Just aggressively awful.
Yep.
And the problem for me was his decision. He butchered the clock in pretty typical McCarthy fashion in the final 2 minutes of the first half. But then, after he had done that, when you have 8 seconds left and 2 timeouts and you're on the 14-yard line, and you have a $40 million a year veteran quarterback, and you say to the ref, wind the clock, I'm not using my timeout, I'm not taking a shot into the end zone. That, to me, is such a slap in the face to your quarterback. The Cowboys can't get to where they are trying to go to if Dak isn't at least an A-. And Mike McCarthy was telling the entire world, I don't trust him.
Yep.
So I thought that was highly problematic. It's one thing if you're the Colts and you have Gardner Minshew stepping in, or if you were the Panthers with P.J. Walker and you're like, you know what, just give us the points. The Browns with P.J. Walker, pardon me. Just give us the points. But it's Dak Prescott. It's the 15-yard line. You have 2 timeouts. You use one, you take a shot to the end zone. So I thought the Cowboys escaped bad coaching last night. Yeah. And I know you've talked about this, you look at the next 6 weeks of football for Dallas and for Philly, it is a very real likelihood that on Thanksgiving Day, Dallas is the leading team in the NFC East, not the Eagles. But the coaching stuff really concerned me. And can I say something about the Chargers side of this for a moment before we move off the game? All right. So Justin Herbert walked into the league. I was watching the game on my couch. It's his second game, or week 2 of his rookie season. Yep. Tyrod Taylor gets stabbed in the ribs by the team doctor. Herbert is not even supposed to play. He has to play. And I'm like, oh, man, this guy's going to be a problem for the next 10 years of my life. In the AFC West, the Chargers have their guy. He was an A- quarterback the day he walked into the league. It's been 4 years. He's an A- quarterback.
Yes.
That's my only critique.
Yeah.
Is that, and I'm asking, I know you like to ask things to me, is it fair? Is that fair that this guy is, like, to use an NBA analogy, would be as if as wins Rookie of the Year averaging 20 points a game, and then as he gets his second contract, you're like, still a 20-point-per-game scorer. Good, useful. There's no one can argue that Justin Herbert, he wasn't good last night.
Right.
But no one can argue he's not one of the 8 best quarterbacks in football. But is it fair for me to say at this point in his career, I thought he'd be more?
Yes, and that's fair. And I would argue, does coaching matter? Jared Goff, Jeff Fisher to McKay. Alex Smith, Mike Singletary to Harbaugh. Jim Schwartz to Jim Caldwell for Matt Stafford. Every quarterback Kyle Shanahan's had. he has had a coach that's fired Anthony Lynn and a coach Charger fans want fired in Brandon Staley. What would they be without him? Now, I'm not saying he's Mahomes, but if you look at Burrow gets an offensive coach from the McVay tree, which has been pretty darn good, and T. Higgins, year 2, Jamar Chase, elite edge rushers. I just look at the Chargers and I think, okay, you don't have to love him. What would they be without him? The coaching, the O-line.
That's 100%. I do think they have a really good roster, but I am not acting. Bill James used to say about baseball teams that the worst teams have an amazing ability to blame their best players for their biggest problems. Justin Herbert is not on the list of the Chargers' 10 biggest problems. He's not on there. But it's not that he's a problem. It's that he's paid, to be the solution. And to me, the last step of excellent quarterbacking is the situation. So last night I had bet on the Cowboys. I was rooting for the Cowboys. Justin Herbert got the ball with 2:20 left, down 3 on his own 25.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to come through. The last step is when the other guy gets the ball and you're like, damn it, we're probably screwed here.
Yeah.
And so I'm not putting a ceiling on him, but I thought at this point he'd be a touch better than he is.
Yeah, and there's some that question whether he sees the field and well enough. Again, last night he didn't have time to see his feet, so that's what it was last night. So Aaron Rodgers hanging around the Jets, manifesting something. I will say in the last 3 starts, Zach Wilson isn't great, but he looks capable, which has quieted the entire franchise down. In Green Bay, I said, they're rooting for Jordan Love. In New York, if you struggle, you become the noisiest franchise in the league, and Zach was a bust. He looks capable, so the team's gotten very quiet. What do you make of the Aaron hanging out? Aaron could play, Aaron on the headsets. What do you make of it?
I mean, the charitable reading is he's being a great teammate. He's just there to support. The honest reading is he wants the attention. He's not playing this year, guys. And you might say, Nick, that is unfair. Why would you say Aaron Rodgers wants the attention? I don't know. Because 6 days ago, he challenged the greatest tight end ever to a televised debate on vaccines. I don't know. The fact that right now he is publicly telling everyone, hey, supposed to be in that boot for 6 weeks. I was in a shoe in 13 days. I am not doubting that Aaron Rodgers' rehab is going well. I am doubting that he is going to rewrite the record books on an Achilles tendon tear, which historically was 9 to 12 months. Over the last 5 years has become 6 to 9 months. And now you have folks writing for CBS Sports, I would project a week 12 return. Give me a break. So I don't buy that at all. And I do think that here's what I'll say about the Jets. I want to give the Jets credit. The defense, I thought the defense was going to be very good. The defense thus far has been great.
Yes.
I thought Garrett Wilson was going to be like the 10th or 11th best receiver in football. He's outshined that. Breece Hall has been better than I thought he'd be coming off the ACL. All that's true, and they deserve credit for that. I think Robert Saleh made a mistake, and he tried to walk it back this week. But if you actually think you're a playoff team, if you actually think you can be competing with the teams that really matter, why on earth are you taking a shot at Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? Josh Allen, who you have to go through, you have to play again no matter what, and Patrick Mahomes, who you hope to play again in the postseason. The whole we've embarrassed everyone thing was another example. I think there are some of these teams whose players at times seem more measured and mature than the coaches. I thought that was a mistake. I think the Jets should be pleased with what they were able to do this weekend, and the fact that their season is not dead, and 3-3 through this opening 6 is a hell of a story. I think Saleh probably needs to pump the brakes a bit, and I do not think we're seeing Aaron Rodgers this year.
Should we recalibrate Brock Purdy? I was impressed. Wow. Didn't have 2 weapons, on the road, great defense, got him in field goal range. I was like, that's not a bad loss. Do you think we should recalibrate?
Okay.
Yeah, what?
Well, what is the calibration? Is it what it was? Because here's what is so frustrating to me about Brock Purdy's the discourse, not about the person, about the discourse.
All right.
Last week, I was called an irrational hater because I would not entertain the fact that he was a top 5 MVP candidate. It's like, Nick, what more do you want him to do? He never loses. Look at the numbers. He went 20 of 21. Give the man credit. And then when he goes 12 of 27, when for the first time in his career he doesn't have the Avengers squad at his skill position guys, and it looks a little shaky, and I go on TV and say, I prefer my MVP candidates not be outplayed by P.J. Walker. I said, Nick, that's unfair. No, it's not unfair. It's only unfair if we are all agreeing Brock Purdy is an unknown. Brock Purdy is right now the weak link of the Niners. If that's the standard, then yeah, don't kill him for struggling against a great defense. But I read an article on The Athletic that said, listen, Brock Purdy could be Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or, let's be fair, he might end up being just Dak Prescott. And I said, wait. We're saying his floor is a guy who's going to play for 15 years, make $250 million, had multiple 12-win seasons. That's his floor. I think his floor is closer to Matt Schaub, who once led the league in passing for Kyle Shanahan. His floor could be a lot closer to guys we have seen, Jimmy Garoppolo, who had success with Kyle Shanahan, and now it leads the league in interceptions. What is the standard here? And yes, Brock Purdy, on that final drive, after throwing it directly to Newsome and him dropping it, which would have been a game-sealing pick, he did a decent job, which was good because that's why he ended up cracking the 100-yard mark for the game. Everyone's saying, the Browns defense, it's impenetrable. Well, it's a great defense. But Lamar Jackson carved him up. You know why? Because he's great. And if he had struggled, we wouldn't be like, give Lamar a break. No, we just said he needs to play better. Brock Purdy was well ahead of Lamar Jackson on the league MVP ladder and Vegas odds and television discourse as of 3 days ago. All of a sudden, the actual Niners MVP, Christian McCaffrey, goes out for a game and he can't score more points than the Browns and P.J. Walker. Let's just pump the brakes on the Brock Purdy anointing stuff. Let's just pump the brakes on it.
All right, one more. People freaking out.
Yeah.
My entire life, GMs draft quarterbacks on talent and traits, not Saturday results. Even Mahomes, not a great winner in college. So Caleb Williams has a stinker. Did it change your perception of him?
This is the most ridiculous conversation I think I've ever been a part of. Someone find me the college quarterback that went their entire career without a bad game. Caleb, I looked it up this morning, Colin. This was Caleb's first truly bad game since November of 2019, his last year of high school. Yes, Caleb was bad on Saturday against Notre Dame. And I give the Fighting Irish credit. And, I thought USC was going to be a playoff team. They are now going to have to sweep Utah, Washington, and Oregon, which is going to be damn near impossible in order to get there. So that is probably not going to be the case. But the idea that we are all of a sudden and this just showed, like Drake May, who is the guy who could go number 2, he started the year off with back-to-back bad games.
Right.
No one gave a damn because everyone understands, college quarterbacks are going to have a bad game. Because this guy has only had A-, or A+ games for a 30-game college career, he now stumbles a bit and people are like, I don't know, man. Might like Shedeur Sanders more. Give me a break. Everybody, give me a break. You know what you're seeing. He's one of the best college quarterbacks of the last 20 years. It's unquestioned.
Mick Wright, first things first, condensed version today. Still dynamic as always. It's good seeing you, buddy.
See you. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate you.